Premier League season will go ahead as of April the 4th?
None of us know. We'll see.
Christian,
It really is an
confident the season is going to
unprecedented
finish.
situation.
We have no idea. Let's hope so.
13th of March 2020. Coronavirus has officially spread to Western Europe, and one by one the European leagues are postponed, with no date set for return. We didn't even know if the league would be able to come back, but thankfully for all of us it did, but not like we'd seen before. Massive empty stadiums, with fans watching through Zoom, and pumped in crowd noise didn't quite capture the atmosphere of pre-corona times. Even watching the game felt different, but how exactly? One of the main theories for this is that the elimination of home fans has removed any sort of home advantage from the game. Home advantage has long been cited as a key reason for the success of many teams. While many factors have been given as reasoning for home advantage, the biggest one is always the presence of those home fans. These fans not only support their team, but they bring hostility for the opposition, and place pressure on the referee to make decisions go their way. We've all heard about the famous Anfield Knights, and every club claims to have the best fans in the world. So without fans there, who's pushing these teams? Who's pressuring the referee? The fans have to be the difference maker, right? How much of what we believe about fan impact is real, and how much of it is just generated by the marketing machine that is the Premier League? The coronavirus pandemic has provided us with a chance to see the impact that fans, or more accurately lack of fans, have on Premier League results, with the banning of fans from stadiums since mid-March. So I've looked at the numbers from the beginning of the Premier League 2019-20 season up until the most recent set of results from this past weekend, to see what kind of impact fans and home advantage actually have on the game. In order to study this, I've divided the Premier League into pre-pandemic ban and post-pandemic ban. Before fans were banned from stadiums, the Premier League managed to complete 288 matches, leaving us with 92 matches from the remainder of the 2019-20 season, and the 48 matches which have been played in the 2020-2021 season so far. A total sample of 428 matches to analyse. There are three factors I wanted to look at to determine the extent to which fans influence the game. First, I wanted to see how home versus away win percentages have changed. If fans really do play as big a role as we're told, then you'd expect away teams to be winning a higher percentage of matches than before. Another factor is how many cards are referees giving to home and away teams, both pre and post stadium ban. Without pressure from fans, are visiting teams then receiving less cards? Lastly, I wanted to see if the numbers of goals being scored have changed. Even home teams may feel like they've more freedom to play without the pressure of their own fans behind them. Each of these factors can provide us with an indication of fan impact and show us if it's really there or not. Okay, so starting with the home versus away win percentages, in the 288 matches completed before the pandemic and stadium ban, home teams managed to win 45%, 25% were drawn, and 30% ended with a victory for the visiting side. In the 140 matches since the stadium ban, the number of home wins hasn't changed much, sitting at 43%, while draws have dropped to 21% and away wins have risen to 36%. However, when you look at the first 48 games of this season in isolation, home wins sit at just 35%, while draws have fallen further to 19%, and away wins have climbed massively to 46%. This would suggest that although it may have taken time for teams to adjust to the lack of fans, away teams are now benefiting hugely from the lack of home fans, and are actively turning this benefit into points. Looking closer, we can see how this has advantaged away teams even further. Prior to the stadium ban, with scores level, the team who went on to win was the away team 41% at the time. While this has only risen 1% in total following the stadium ban, when looking at the start of the 2020 season alone, this number has risen to 47%, while the number of 59% for home teams has fallen to 53% in the same period. It will take more time to see if the league will continue to trend this way, or if this has just been a chaotic start to a new season, but the figures certainly suggest that the lack of fans is having a direct impact on match results. So if the lack of fans is influencing the outcome of matches, is it also influencing the referees? Refereeing decisions can obviously have a big impact on the games themselves. An early yellow card for a defender will have them on thin ice for the rest of the game, and may leave them unable to make a crucial challenge without risking being sent off. Before the stadium ban, Premier League matches averaged 3.7 cards per game, with an average of 2 cards per game going to the away team alone. Since the ban, cards per game have actually remained the same, but away cards have fallen to 1.8 per game, while home cards have actually risen to 1.9 per game, a much more even outcome than prior to the ban. Another point of note from this is that without the pressure of home crowds influencing the referee's decision making, away teams are now receiving less cards on average than home teams, as opposed to before the ban. This change, albeit a small one, has only further benefited away team, and may point to why away teams are performing a lot better on the road, or at least give one of the reasons. The final thing I wanted to look at was whether teams are scoring more or less without the pressures of fans behind them. One thing we hear a lot about is teams feeling pressured by their own fans to play a certain style, and without fans in the stadium, this pressure is no longer felt by the players. But would this result in more or less goals being scored, or would it even influence it at all? Prior to the stadium ban, Premier League games saw an average of 2.7 goals per game. Of these 2.7, 1.5 were for home teams and the remaining 1.2 goals were for the away team. Since the ban, goals per game have actually risen to 3.2, half a goal per game increase, with 1.6 going to the home team and 1.6 going to the away team, once again much more even than they had been prior to the ban. The goal numbers in the 2020-2021 season alone are even higher, averaging 3.5 per game, with 1.6 going to the home team and 1.9 going to the away team. This is averaging almost a goal more than pre-stadium ban numbers, and showing once again that away teams are benefiting massively from lack of fans in the stadium. These results highlight the influence that fans have on Premier League matches, particularly in regards to helping the home team. Without fans, home teams are winning less matches and even managing to draw less than when they had their fans backing them. And they've lost the beneficial pressure which their fans will place on referees to grant them favourable decisions. Overall, the winners from the stadium ban have been the away teams, especially if results continue in the way that they're going. They're picking up more points on the road than before, while receiving more balanced refereeing decisions and scoring more goals. The increase in goals should mean the fans are the ones winning. But what's the point in more goals if they're scored in empty stadiums? I can't imagine any football fan saying they would happily take more goals if they can never actually see them in person. There's still something strange about watching a team score a winner and hearing the delayed artificial crowd celebrating, or stranger still watching without the crowd noise and hearing just 100 or so club officials cheering, somehow drawing more attention to the absurdity of the whole situation. In finding footage for this video, it was a surprise to hear the constant background noise of a real crowd, despite it not even being a year yet without fans. It has already become the norm, a norm which we all cannot wait to come to an end.